The auction. The night was cold on Zura 9, a dark market planet where the law had no meaning. In the center of the city, a strange building stood, round, tall, glowing with red lights. Inside, people from many planets sat quietly. Some wore masks. Others had metal arms or glowing eyes. All of them were here for one reason. The slave auction was about to begin. John Riker stood in the back corner. He wore a black jacket, his face covered with a hood. His eyes scanned the stage as the first group of slaves was pushed forward. Most looked weak, scared, broken. This place made him sick. But he was not here to save them all. He had come for someone specific, though he didn't know who. "Next," the auctioneer shouted. His voice was loud and sharp. "Rare alien female, unknown species, found in a crashed pod, powers unknown." The lights dimmed, and then she was brought out. She walked slowly, her hands in metal cuffs. Her skin was silver gray, smooth like glass. Her eyes were deep purple, glowing softly in the dark. She had no hair. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of something strange. Pain, maybe. Or power. She didn't look at anyone until she looked at him. Just for a second, their eyes met. John felt something cold move through his spine. It wasn't fear. It was like a message, silent but strong. Her eyes said, "Don't let them take me." The auctioneer started the bid. 5,000 credits. Hands went up. Voices shouted numbers. 10,000. 15. John stayed quiet. 20,000. The alien woman still looked at him. John slowly raised his hand. 25. A tall creature with 6 eyes laughed loudly. 30. John's voice was calm. 40. Now the room was quiet. People turned to look at him. The auctioneer smiled. 40 going once, twice. Sold. A buzzer sounded. The cuffs on the alien woman unlocked, and 2 guards brought her down the steps. John walked forward and gave them a credit chip. The woman was silent. She followed him without a word. Outside the building, the air smelled like metal and smoke. John led her to his ship, a small freighter parked in the shadows. He opened the door and stepped inside. She followed. The ship closed behind them. Inside, the ship was quiet and dark. Lights on the walls gave a soft blue glow. John walked to the front and sat in the pilot seat. The woman stood near the door, not moving. "You can sit," he said. She didn't answer. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said again. "You're free now." Still, she said nothing. He sighed and looked back at her. "Do you speak?" After a few seconds, she nodded, but her lips did not move. "What's your name?" he asked. Her voice came soft, almost like a whisper in his mind. "Liara." John blinked. He hadn't heard her speak. He had felt her speak. He turned fully toward her. "You spoke inside my head." She didn't nod this time. She just watched him with those glowing eyes. John leaned back. "Okay. Telepathy. That's new." He started the engines. The ship lifted into the sky and left the planet. Outside the window, stars filled the black space. Inside, silence. Liara sat on the floor, her knees pulled close to her chest. She looked out the window, not at him. Her skin glowed slightly in the dark. She looked calm, but John could feel something strange in the air, like static before a storm. The ship's AI spoke. "Warning, foreign energy detected in cargo bay." John stood up fast. He ran to the back. The cargo bay was empty, but the lights were flickering. A strange hum filled the room for a second, then stopped. He turned back toward the front. Liara was still sitting in the same place. He walked slowly toward her. "Was that you?" No answer. "Are you dangerous?" She finally looked at him. Her voice again filled his head. "I don't know." John stared at her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the ship's screen beeped. A red light flashed. "Unidentified ship approaching," the AI said. John sat down quickly and opened the controls. A dark ship was behind them. No ID code, no message. He looked at Liara. "They're following us." Her eyes narrowed. Her voice came again. "They want me back." "Who are they?" She closed her eyes. "Syndicate." John cursed under his breath. "Galactic slave mafia." He looked at her again. "Why are they chasing you so badly?" She said nothing. He turned the ship and pushed it into hyperdrive. As stars turned into long lines, John felt something had begun. Something much bigger than he had planned for. He hadn't just bought an alien slave. He had stepped into a war he didn't understand. Silent passenger. The ship flew quietly through the cold, dark sea of space. Inside, there was silence. John Riker sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars. His mind was not calm. The woman in the back of the ship, Liara, was unlike anyone he had ever met. Her voice didn't come from her mouth. Her skin shimmered like metal under soft light. Her presence felt heavy, like standing near a storm that hadn't begun yet. She hadn't moved from her corner in hours. She just sat there, watching. John tapped a button on the console. "AI, ship status?" "All systems normal," the AI replied. "Except for one thing." John frowned. "What thing?" "Energy pulses. Small, random, localized near passenger." He turned in his seat and looked toward the back of the ship. Liara's eyes were closed. She seemed asleep. But the air around her had changed. It felt thick. Alive. John stood and slowly walked toward her. "Liara?" he said, keeping his voice soft. Her eyes opened. He stepped back. Her eyes weren't purple anymore. They were white, glowing white, but only for a second. Then they faded back to purple. "Are you okay?" he asked. She stared at him and didn't answer. "I don't know what you are," he said, "but I think you're more than just someone who was captured." Again, no answer. He sighed. "I'm not your enemy, Liara." He turned and walked back, to the front. The ship's lights flickered. "AI," he said. "Log these power surges." "Already done," the AI replied. "They increase when you speak to her." He looked over his shoulder. She was still sitting quietly, but something told him she was listening to everything. Hours passed. John was in the engine room, checking a fuel line, when the ship suddenly shook. Alarms began to sound. "Warning!" The AI's voice rang. "Attempted. Remote access detected." John ran to the cockpit. The screens were flashing red. Symbols appeared. Symbols he didn't recognize. Not human code. "Where's it coming from?" he shouted. "Unknown. The signal is internal." "What do you mean internal?" He turned fast and froze. Liara was standing. She hadn't made a sound. Her eyes glowed again, brighter this time. And in front of her, floating in the air, were holographic images, words, lights, shapes. She was doing something to the ship, but it didn't look like an attack. It looked like she was protecting it. The hacking symbols on the screen vanished. System normal. The red lights faded to blue. Liara collapsed. John ran to her and caught her before she hit the floor. Her skin was cold, her breathing slow. He carried her to the medical bed in the side chamber and laid her down. Her eyes blinked open weakly. "What did you do?" he asked. She whispered, not in his mind, but with her real voice. It was cracked and soft. "I stopped them." "Who were they?" Her eyes were full of fear. "They found us." John looked at the screen. No ships in sight, no messages, but he believed her. He sat down next to her. "I need answers, Liara, now. Who are you, really?" She closed her eyes for a long time. Then finally, she spoke. "My name is Liara. I was taken from a fallen world. My people were not like others. We had power, mind power, control of energy, of machines. We could speak to stars. But we didn't fight. We hid. We lived in peace." John listened quietly. Then the syndicate came. They wanted our secrets, our power. They killed many, caged others. I was one of them. They kept me asleep, used me, broke me. But I didn't break all the way. Her voice faded again. John looked at her hands. There were faint lines glowing on her skin, like old circuitry under the surface. She was something else entirely, and the syndicate wanted her back. That night, as John slept in the cockpit chair, a soft noise woke him. The door behind him had opened. He turned fast, reaching for his gun, but it was just Liara. She stood in the doorway looking out the window at the stars. "You should be resting," he said. She didn't move. "I don't sleep like humans." "Right." He paused. "Thanks for saving the ship earlier." She nodded. "They tried to connect to the system, to make it explode. I stopped them." "You could have let them. You don't even know me." She looked at him quiet for a moment, then said, "I know you're not like them." John leaned back in the chair. "I'm not sure that's true." Liara stepped closer to the window. "You didn't buy me to hurt me." John didn't answer. A soft beep sounded on the control panel. A message. No sender, just 2 words on the screen. "Returner." John stared at it. The screen glitched, once, then went back to normal. He looked at Liara. "They're coming again, aren't they?" She gave a slow nod. "They always come." The next morning, the ship passed through a small asteroid field. The AI gave a strange alert. "Warning, multiple tracking signals. Source unknown." John looked outside, nothing visible. But Liara walked to the window, staring deep into space. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "They're close now." John gripped the controls. "They want you because of what you can do," he said. She shook her head. "Not just that." "Then what?" She turned to him, and for the first time, he saw something like fear in her eyes. "Because I remember something I should not." The syndicate's warning space was silent. But inside John Riker's ship, everything was chaos. Red lights flashed. The warning sirens screamed. The AI repeated one line again and again. "Hostile ship approaching. Shields up. Weapons locked." John sat in the pilot seat, eyes fixed on the screen. A large vessel was behind them, twice the size of his freighter. It had no ID, no broadcast, no flag. But he didn't need confirmation. It was them. The syndicate had arrived. Liara stood behind him, her face calm but her hands clenched. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the emergency lights. John whispered, "They found us fast." "They were always close," she said quietly. "I could feel them." The enemy ship didn't fire. Instead, a message popped on the main screen. "John Riker, we know you have her. Prepare to transfer the asset. You have one chance." There was no name, no voice, just a command. John leaned forward. "AI, open comm line." "Comm open." He spoke, calm but cold. "Not happening. Try again." A new message appeared almost instantly. "She is not yours. She is property. Deliver her or be destroyed." Liara didn't react. She only stared at the screen, her eyes narrowing. Then, without warning, she spoke directly into the ship's system. Her voice wasn't heard, it was felt. The screens glitched. A loud feedback hum blasted through the speakers. John grabbed his ears. What the hell was that? The system returned. To normal, Liara looked at him. "They tried to plant a virus. I stopped it." John stood up. "They're trying to take control of the ship?" She nodded. "They want to freeze the engines, trap us." John cursed. "We can't outrun them. That ship has heavy guns." "We don't need to run," she said softly. "Let me help." He looked at her carefully. "Help how?" She reached out and touched the wall of the ship. Instantly the lights dimmed, then brightened again. The ship hummed like it was alive. Power levels rose by 12%. The AI gave a strange update. System boost detected. Energy level stabilizing beyond standard limits. John blinked. "You just supercharged the ship?" Liara pulled her hand back. I'm linked to tech. I can speak to machines. He stared at her for a long second. You're not just a psychic alien, are you? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the co-pilot seat and sat down. On the screen, the enemy ship began to charge its weapons. John gripped the controls. Hold tight. The enemy fired first, 2 plasma bolts. John turned the ship hard to the left. 1 bolt missed. The second hit the shield. The ship shook violently. Shields at 70%, the AI said. John spun the ship behind a small moon, using its gravity to slingshot around it. Then he returned fire. 2 pulse cannons and 1 EMP burst. The syndicate ship took the hit but didn't stop. They're not here to talk, John said. No, Liara replied. They want to erase us. Suddenly she gasped. Her hands clutched the seat. John turned to her. Liara? Her voice filled the cabin, echoing. They sent something else. What do you mean? They connected a shadow into me. Her eyes rolled back for a second. John reached for her, but before he could touch her, she stood up straight and calm again. I'm okay, she whispered. But I saw something, a memory, a place. He helped her sit. What place? An old planet, covered in ice, a lab. I think that's where they first tested on me, where it began. John looked back at the screen. The syndicate ship was circling them now, hunting them, playing with them. We won't last long, he said. That ship will cut us in half soon. Liara spoke again, her voice stronger now. Then we go where they don't expect. To the lab? John asked. She nodded. I need to remember. It's the only way to stop them. He hesitated. That's insane. They might be waiting for us there. They already are, she replied. But I have to face it, or this never ends. John looked at her closely. Her silver skin was glowing. Again, her eyes were brighter. She looked alive in a way she hadn't before. All right, he said. AI, plot a course to the ice planet. Full speed. Coordinates unknown, the AI responded. Liara closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the room. The screen blinked, and new coordinates appeared, deep in uncharted space. John stared. You just put it in the system with your mind? I remember more now, she said softly. They tried to erase it, but it's coming back. They jumped into hyperspace. As the stars stretched around them, John finally allowed himself to breathe. But then, another alert. Incoming encrypted message. This time, there was a voice. Cold. Robotic. You've made a mistake, human. She is not what you think. She is not broken. She is not innocent. You're protecting a weapon, one that killed her own world. John froze. Liara was silent. He looked at her. Is it true? She didn't look back. The AI voice repeated the last word of the message. Weapon. John sat quietly. Was Liara truly a victim? Or was she something far more dangerous? And why? Did part of him still want to protect her? Her truth. The ship flew through deep space, moving silently toward an unmarked region. In the cockpit, there was no conversation. John Riker stared out the window, hands tight on the controls. His jaw was clenched. The words from the syndicate's last message kept playing in his head. She is not broken. She is not innocent. You're protecting a weapon. Liara sat in the co-pilot seat. Her hands rested quietly on her lap, but her eyes didn't blink. She could feel the tension between them like a wall, and yet she said nothing. Finally, John broke the silence. Is it true? She didn't look at him. Did you destroy your own world? Still no answer. Say something. Her voice came low and cold. It's not that simple. Then make it simple, he snapped. You've been in my ship, my mind, my life. I've protected you, and now I find out you might have been a mass killer. She looked at him now, and for the first time, there was something dark in her eyes. Not anger, regret. They always Say the weapon pulled the trigger, she said. But they never ask who built it. John stared at her. He didn't understand. Not fully. She sighed and stood up, walking toward the ship's holoprojector. She placed her hand on the panel, and a blue sphere of light appeared. A star map. Slowly, it zoomed in on a dead system, 3 burnt planets, and a frozen one at the edge. She pointed to the frozen world. This is where we're going. It was once called Varus. It was home to many minds. Scientists, thinkers, dreamers. John stepped closer. Your people? She nodded. Yes, we were different. We didn't build ships for war. We built knowledge. We believed we could fix broken things in the galaxy, heal pain with science, with thought. The star map faded. A new hologram appeared, an image of Liara, younger, in a white suit, standing beside other alien figures. They made me, she said. John blinked. What? I wasn't born. I was created. The hologram changed again. Now, Liara was strapped to a floating table, wires in her skin, glowing machines all around her. They took parts of my people, our best traits, our empathy, our memory, our energy, and mixed them with something else. Something we found deep in the stars. What did they add? John asked. Liara turned to him slowly. Dark matter, living matter, something alive that feeds on thought. They thought they could control it. Her voice dropped lower. They were wrong. John sat down, trying to process it all. You're saying you were made as a weapon, on purpose? She nodded. To protect our world. But I couldn't control it. My mind opened too wide. I felt every thought from every person. It was like drowning in a sea of voices. I lost myself. She took a breath. And in that moment, I triggered the pulse. What was the pulse? He asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. A release of energy that shut down every machine, every mind that was connected to me. Our cities died. Our power grids collapsed. My people, those linked to the neural net, stopped breathing. John stared. You killed them? I didn't mean to, she said, her voice breaking for the first time. But I did. She sat down again, her hands shaking. The syndicate found me after that. They called me salvage. They kept me asleep, ran tests, sold data about me. They erased my memories and used me for weapon research. John rubbed his hands over his face. So why now? Why are you remembering? She looked up at him, and for the first time he saw her not as alien or weapon or victim. He saw her as a person. Because of you, she said. Your ship. Your mind. Something in you is different. Human minds are loud, but yours is quiet, strong. That's why I'm healing. He shook his head. I'm just a guy with a ship and a gun. No, she said. You're a mirror. You let me see who I am, not what they made me to be. They sat in silence for a while. Then, the AI spoke. Approaching destination. From space, the ice planet looked like a white marble cracked with blue veins. As they landed, the wind outside roared like a storm. The temperature dropped fast. John loaded a plasma rifle and handed Liara a small pulse blade. You know how to use this? I don't need it, she said. He believed her. The lab was hidden beneath the surface. They walked through a ruined cave tunnel, then stepped into metal doors that opened automatically, still powered after all these years. Inside, the walls were covered with frost. Broken machines lay everywhere. But the energy, the memory, was still alive in the place. As they moved deeper, the lights flickered on. One by one. They still remember me, Liara whispered. They reached the main lab. In the center of the room stood a pod. Not empty. Inside floated another body, female. Same silver skin, same eyes. John stepped back. Is that my sister? Liara said. She was made before me, but she never woke up. She touched the glass. I wasn't the only weapon. Suddenly, a sound echoed from behind them, metal on metal. John turned fast, aiming his rifle. Figures stepped out of the shadows, 6 armored syndicate soldiers. Drop the weapon, one of them said. We'll take both of them now. John raised the gun higher. Come get her. The soldiers stepped forward, but Liara was already glowing, not with fear, with power. Her voice filled the room. You want a weapon? The air shook. The walls vibrated. Then, face what you made. The hidden planet. The room exploded with light. Liara's body rose slightly above the ground, her feet no longer touching the floor. Energy poured from her skin like glowing wind. The syndicate soldiers stopped moving. Their weapons shook in their hands. John stepped back, shielding his face. Liara's voice echoed through the old lab, not with anger, but with power. You used me. You broke me. Now you fear what I've become. The walls cracked, ice shattered. Lights across the lab burst like glass bulbs. One soldier panicked. He fired. The blast never reached her. The pulse bolt stopped in midair and slowly dissolved into dust. John stared, frozen. He had seen her do strange things before, but this was something else. This was raw, unfiltered power. The soldiers ran, but the door behind them sealed shut with a wave of Liara's hand. She lowered herself to the ground. Her glow faded slowly. Then she turned to John. I remember everything now. They stood in silence for a few seconds. John looked at her, unsure what to say. His instincts as a soldier told him to run. No being should have that much control. But his heart told him something else. She had saved him again. Are you still you? He asked carefully. I'm more me now than I've ever been, she replied. Then she looked at the pod, the one with her sister still floating inside. She's still alive, Liara whispered. I can feel her thoughts. Faint, like a distant dream. John stepped closer. Can we wake her? No, not yet. Not safely. She was too early. The balance in her mind never formed. If she wakes now, she'll be pure energy. Chaos. Then we leave her? For now. John nodded, and they turned to leave. The syndicate soldiers were unconscious behind them. As they stepped outside the lab, Liara turned and raised her hand. The door closed and sealed with a symbol, her symbol, shining for a second before vanishing. Back in orbit, inside John's ship, something strange happened. The AI voice chimed in. Unknown signal detected. John frowned. Where? Inside. The system. The screen lit up with a map of the nearby planets, but one stood out. A planet that shouldn't be there. It was invisible in normal scans, hidden behind a shield of dark energy. But Liara could see it now. That's it, she said softly. The last city. John stared. You mean, your people? Maybe, she said. If any of them survived, they would have gone there. The ship locked onto coordinates and jumped. Moments later they arrived. What they saw wasn't a planet. It was a construct. A giant sphere, half metal, half stone, orbiting a dying star. It looked abandoned, but ancient technology pulsed across its surface. A planetary brain, asleep for centuries. As the ship approached, a voice echoed across the comms. Liara. Access confirmed. Welcome home. John blinked. They knew you'd come back. No, she said. They hoped. The ship was pulled into a docking bay by invisible forces, smooth, controlled, no threat. Inside, the air was breathable. The walls glowed with soft blue veins of light. Strange symbols lit up beneath Liara's feet as she walked. This place was made by the elders, she said. The first ones. They created me and others like me to protect this place, not to destroy. As they entered the central chamber, something floated in the air, a glowing cube. Liara stepped forward. The cube opened. From it, a voice spoke. Not synthetic, not digital. It was organic, ancient. Liara. If you are hearing this, then the galaxy has failed. The council has fallen, the syndicate has risen, and you are our last key. John stepped beside her, stunned. What is this? A memory, Liara said. The cube continued. The weapon within you was never meant for destruction. It was meant to reboot the stars, to heal broken systems. But we miscalculated. We made your mind too open. The pain of the galaxy infected you. Then the voice grew darker. And we made one other mistake. A new image appeared. A figure. Like Liara, but not her. Its skin was black as void. Its eyes burned red. John stared. Who is that? Liara's voice trembled. My sister, the second prototype. They woke her, before I was ready. The cube faded. The chamber lights dimmed. John turned to her. So she's alive? Yes, Liara whispered. And if she wakes fully, she will not rebuild, she will burn. Just then, the ship's alarm blared again. Incoming vessel. Signature. Syndicate-class dreadnought. John ran to the console. They followed us? No, Liara said slowly. They were already here. The view screen lit up. A massive ship hovered above the ancient structure, and inside that ship was her sister. A new message appeared, but this time, it wasn't the syndicate speaking, it was her. Hello, Liara. The voice was soft, calm, too calm. You found the past. I found the future. Why fix a dying galaxy when we can reshape it? Liara stepped forward. You're not well. They twisted your mind. Her sister smiled from the screen. No, Liara. They freed it. You were made to protect the stars. I was made to control them. John cursed under his breath. Tell me she's bluffing. She's not, Liara said. If she connects to this place, she can awaken every ancient weapon the elders left, sleeping. The screen flickered. You have one choice, sister, the voice said. Join me, or try to stop me, and die like the rest. The message ended. John looked at Liara. What do we do? She turned slowly to him, and her voice was steady. We go into the heart of the construct, and we wake what's left of my people. John nodded. And if they're gone? Liara looked up at the glowing ceiling. Then I fight her alone. Rise of the weapon. Deep inside the ancient sphere, machines that had slept for thousands of years were beginning to wake. Lights flickered to life one by one. Holograms buzzed and spun in the air. Energy flowed through old walls like blood in veins. The hidden city of the elders had not been touched by time, but now it was stirring, and it was because she had returned. Liara walked slowly through the central corridor. Her silver skin pulsed softly. Her bare feet made no sound on the crystal floor. Every wall lit up when she passed. Every door opened without a command. This place knew her. It was built for her. But behind her, John Riker didn't feel at home. He kept his hand on his gun, scanning every shadow. She's already inside the system, Liara said. Not fully. But her mind is reaching in, looking for the control keys. Then we need to move fast, John replied. Because once she finds them, she can awaken the planetary core, Liara finished, and control the entire construct. John shook his head. And I thought pirates were bad. They entered the heart chamber, a huge room. No ceiling. A black sky full of stars floated above them like a dream. At the center stood a glowing tower, a pillar of pure data and light. The Elder Core. This is the brain, Liara said. The place where knowledge lives, where the elders stored their memory. She stepped toward it, but something flickered beside the tower. A hologram appeared, not of a person, of a memory, recording. A group of the elders stood in a circle speaking in their ancient tongue. But the system translated, if she falls, we all fall. If the weapon breaks, the stars will scream. If the mind splits, it must be silenced before the echo grows. John frowned. What does that mean? Liara's voice was quiet. They were afraid of what they built. Afraid of me. No, said a voice from the shadows. John turned fast, drawing his gun. A figure stepped into view, tall, graceful, dark as void, eyes glowing like fire. Liara's sister. The second weapon. "I'm not the failure," the dark Liara said. "I'm the future." "You're a mistake," Liara replied. "One they couldn't control." "No," the dark one smiled. "I was control. I am what they wanted you to become. You were soft. You cried for them. You felt guilt. Weakness." John raised his gun. "Stay back." She didn't even look at him. With a flick of her fingers, his weapon flew from his hand and slammed into the wall. "Broken." He grunted, backing up. "Great." "You're human," the dark sister said. "So fragile, but clever. You unlocked her heart, didn't you?" Liara stepped forward. "Don't touch him." "I won't," the dark one said with a grin. "But the galaxy will." "Once I wake the Sentinels," John asked. "Sentinels?" Liara answered without turning. "Planet-sized war machines. The Elders locked them in black holes. If she wakes them, she can destroy entire systems and rebuild them," her sister said. "In my image." The core began to glow brighter. She was inside it now. Liara ran forward, placing both hands on the tower of light. Her eyes flashed. The room trembled. "I won't let you in," she whispered. "You can't stop me," her sister replied. "I'm in your head. I am your head." John watched in horror as both sisters stood frozen, locked in a mental war too fast for human eyes. Then Liara screamed. The core rejected her. She fell to her knees, shaking. "Liara!" John rushed to her. She clutched his arm, breathing hard. "She's stronger. She's learned how to control the pain. I still feel it." "You're not weak because you feel," he said. "You're strong because you care." Her hand tightened around his. Her body stopped shaking. Then she stood up again. No more running. Liara walked back to the core, but this time she didn't try to stop her sister from the outside. She closed her eyes and invited her in. Her sister entered her mind like a wave of fire, but Liara didn't fight. She let it burn. She let the memories flow. The deaths, the pain, the screaming minds, the pulse that killed her world. But she held on to something else. A memory. John, on the ship. The quiet peace in his voice. The way he looked at her like she was more than what she had been made for. She pushed that memory forward, a light inside her mind. Her sister paused. "What is this?" she whispered. "It's love," Liara replied. "Something you were never taught." "No," her sister growled. "It's a virus. It's freedom." Their minds clashed, and in the center of the storm, Liara stood still. Not afraid, not broken, complete. Outside their minds, the core changed color from white to blue to gold. The dark Liara stepped back, screaming, "I won't be erased." "You won't," Liara said. "You'll be saved." The core pulsed, and a beam of light shot up into the sky, across the sphere, across the stars, across hidden networks of the Elders, and for a moment, silence. Then the voice of the AI returned. Weapon 2, contained. System integrity restored. Sentinels, disarmed. John stared. "You did it." Liara opened her eyes. She was glowing, but gently now. Peacefully. "She's asleep again," she said. "And this time, not in pain." John stepped close. "Are you okay?" Liara turned to him. "I think, for the first time, yes." But just as he reached for her hand, a warning siren blared. The AI shouted, "New threat detected. Council. Fleet approaching." John swore. "Seriously? Now?" Liara looked at the screen. Hundreds of ships. "They were watching," she said, "waiting to see who won. And now? They'll come for both of us." John grabbed her hand. Then, "We run," she smiled. "Not this time." She reached out to the core one last time, and the entire sphere began to rise. The stars bent around them. The ancient weapon had awakened, but this time, it had a soul, to win her heart. The stars shifted as the ancient construct began to rise. The hidden planet, home of the elders, was no longer still. Its surface moved, unfolded, and expanded. Metal petals bloomed from beneath the ice. Dozens of giant spires rose from the ground, glowing with forgotten energy. It was no longer a city. It was a ship built by a race that once shaped the stars, and it had chosen a new commander. Liara. She stood at the core window, her silver, skin glowing golden, her eyes full of power and sadness. The core had accepted her, not as a weapon, not as a threat, but as the last daughter of the elders. Behind her, John Riker stood, staring at the massive council fleet approaching from deep space. Hundreds of warships, destroyers, interceptors, carriers. The Galactic Council was not here to talk. They're afraid of what you've become, John said. Liara nodded. I would be too. But they don't understand, he said. You're not what they think. They see only danger. That's what happens when power has no face. He stepped beside her. Then show them yours. A council broadcast blinked onto the screen. A cold-faced admiral appeared. Human, sharp jaw, silver uniform. This is High Admiral Kor of the Galactic Council. Liara of Varus. You are ordered to shut down all systems and surrender yourself. Immediately, the weapon is not yours to control. Liara stared back, calm. It's mine because I lived it, because I bled for it, and because I won't let you destroy what you fear. No negotiation, the Admiral replied. We're not here to talk. He cut the transmission. A timer appeared on screen. Council. Attack begins in 90 seconds. John turned to her. What do we do? Liara's face was unreadable. I could stop them. All of them. You mean destroy them? She didn't answer. The silence said enough. He stepped closer. You told me you wanted peace. I do, she whispered. Then this is the moment, he said. Not when you kill them, when you don't. Her eyes glowed brighter for a second. Energy pulsed in her skin. I'm scared, she admitted. I could lose control again. John took her hand. Not while I'm here. You're not alone this time. Her breathing slowed. The lights around her softened. Okay, she said. Then we don't run, we speak. The ship moved forward, slow, majestic. One elder weapon ship, facing an entire fleet. The council opened fire. Liara raised one hand. A golden barrier spread in front of the construct. The first wave of missiles struck and dissolved. She didn't. Attack, she sent a message, a galaxy-wide broadcast. Her voice echoed across the stars. I am Liara of Varus. I am not your weapon. I am not your enemy. I was built to protect, not to rule. I have seen what fear does. I have felt what war costs. I do not want to destroy your fleets, but I will defend what remains of my people. Silence followed. The fleet stopped moving. John held his breath. But not all commanders believed in peace. One rogue cruiser broke formation and fired a planet-killer missile. Liara, John shouted. But she didn't panic. She reached out her hand and caught it, in mid-space. With her mind. The missile hovered like a frozen comet, then gently floated back toward the enemy ship, unarmed, and landed harmlessly on its hull. A message. Power doesn't always mean violence. Back on the fleet, commanders argued. Debated. And then something unexpected happened. One by one, the ships began to shut down their weapons. The council retreated. Not because they feared her, but because they believed her. Hours later, Liara stood at the edge of the core looking out into space. John walked up behind her. It's done, he said. For now, she replied. You saved them. No, she said. They saved themselves by choosing not to shoot again. John looked at her quietly. What will you do now? She smiled faintly. Rebuild, teach, share what we knew, what we still know. The galaxy has too many weapons. It needs minds again. And what about us? She turned to him. You made me remember who I was. You gave me something they couldn't erase. He stepped close. And you made me believe again. In something more than war. There was a pause. There, hands touched, no fire, no energy blast, just warmth. Real. Later, as the ancient construct floated silently among the stars, a message was sent across the galaxy. Not from a government, not from a general, but from Lyara. There is power in peace. There is courage in love. The future belongs to those who remember the past but are not chained to it. Some say the weapon became a queen. Some say she disappeared into deep space, never to be seen again. But John Riker knows the truth. She didn't vanish. She built something new, not with fire, but with hope. And in that, he found something worth fighting for. Not just a galaxy, but her heart.